Hey everyone, getting ready for that hospital porter interview. We're here to help you absolutely crush it.
Yeah, we're going to do a deep dive into some role catcher guides and give you the inside scoop so you can impress at your interview.
Yeah, you'll get a much better understanding of what this role really involves. It's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just moving patients around. You're like a crucial part of the healthcare team. We're going to make sure you can show that in your interview.
Absolutely. So, let's jump right in. RoleCatcher calls hospital porters professional healthcare assistants. Kind of a surprising title, right?
It is. It's not just about pushing stretchers. It's a really key support role in a crazy, fast-paced world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So think about it. You're the link between departments,
Mm.
making sure patients get to where they need to be,
Mhm.
equipment is arriving on time,
Yeah.
and just keeping everything running smoothly. That takes organization, communication, and a ton of awareness.
It really does. And you know what? Role Catcher's AI can actually figure out which keywords are important from job descriptions, things you might not even think about.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like how much they emphasize patient interaction versus like pure logistics. If you know that kind of stuff, it helps you tailor your answers to what that specific hospital is looking for.
That's so smart,
Yeah.
especially if you're applying to a bunch of different hospitals that might have different needs. Okay, let's dive into some actual interview questions. Here's the first one. Can you tell us about your previous experience working in a hospital setting? What if you haven't actually worked in a hospital before?
Don't freak out.
Yeah.
This is where you bring up those transferable skills.
Oh, okay.
Like, have you volunteered anywhere, worked in customer service, maybe even had a job where you had to lift heavy things in a fast-paced setting? All
Yeah.
of that stuff connects back to a hospital.
That's true. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually uses the example of a delivery driver in their sample answer. It seems kind of random at first,
Yeah.
but they focus on things like navigating a busy environment, prioritizing tasks, and that super important customer interaction piece. They're basically drawing parallels between the two.
Exactly. And you know what's even cooler? The AI can help you tweak that sample answer to fit your situation.
Oh, wow.
So let's say you were a cashier before. You can input that experience and it'll suggest ways to spin those skills so they're perfect for this job.
That's incredible. Okay, next question. How would you handle a situation where a patient required urgent transportation? Now, this isn't about knowing like hospital codes or anything. They want to see how you handle pressure.
Yeah, they want to see if you can think clearly, communicate well, and most importantly, prioritize safety even when things are getting a little crazy.
Right.
So think about a time when you had to react quickly and stay calm. Maybe a crazy day at work, a family emergency, anything that shows you can handle the heat.
And practicing with RoleCatcher's AI is perfect for this kind of question.
It is.
You can do mock interviews and get feedback on how fast you're talking. Your tone of voice, it's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
I love that. Okay, so let's say the interviewer wants to dig a little deeper. They might ask something like, what if the patient was being difficult or really upset? How would you change your approach?
That's a great point. This is where you can talk about empathy de-escalation techniques, maybe even bring up experiences from a customer service job where you had to calm down an angry customer.
Exactly. RoleCatcher's answer for the main question is pretty good, but it's more about the big picture.
Yeah,
They want to see if you're the kind of person who stays calm and can solve problems under pressure.
makes sense. Okay, on to question 3. How do you prioritize your tasks when there are a million things going on at once? Now, every job can get a little hectic sometimes, but hospitals are known for being super busy all the time. How do you convince them that you can handle it?
It's not enough to just say, I'm organized. You need to actually give them a system. Do you make mental checklists? Use a to-do list app. Maybe you're a color-coded sticky note person.
Uh-huh.
Whatever works for you, just paint a picture of how you stay on top of things.
And don't forget to give some real-life examples.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you juggled a part-time job with a crazy school schedule, or maybe you were the family organizer in charge of everyone's appointments. Those examples are super valuable too.
They are. You know what's interesting to me? Even if your experience isn't directly from healthcare, they're looking for that ability to deal with chaos.
Right.
And that's something you can learn in any industry.
Totally. Okay, let's tackle question 4. How do you maintain a clean and safe environment in a hospital setting? This one has 2 parts. There's the obvious cleanliness aspect, but also being aware of safety hazards that go beyond just cleaning up spills.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely testing your knowledge of infection control, like hand hygiene and how to get rid of waste properly. But they're also looking for that proactive thinking, like preventing trips and falls, being mindful of where equipment is placed, that kind of stuff.
RoleCatcher sample answer is a good starting point, but make sure you personalize it. Have you ever had a job with strict hygiene rules? Maybe you were a lifeguard and responsible for pool safety. Find those connections and bring them up.
Great point. Here's a little insider tip. Before you go to the interview, take a look at the hospital's website. Do they have any awards or programs related to safety or infection control?
Oh, smart.
If you mention something like that, it shows you've done your research and that you actually care about their values.
That's great advice. Okay, so we've covered 4 super important questions, and hopefully you're starting to see how to approach these things. It's not about jumping over hurdles. It's about showing off what you're good at. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We've got even more insider tips coming up, including how RoleCatcher's AI can help you create the perfect answers for you.
We're back, and we're still breaking down those tricky hospital porter interview questions. We're going to help you go beyond just answering them. We want you to stand out.
We want you to make a great impression, not just get the job, but start a career that you can really be proud of. So let's move on to question number 5. This one gets into the human side of things a little bit. Can you tell us about a time when you had to deal with a difficult patient or situation?
This is where you show them you can handle anything.
Right.
Hospitals can be tough places, lots of stress and emotions running high. So they need to know you can stay calm, professional, even when people are being difficult.
It's tempting to say, oh, I've never had a difficult customer, but let's be real. Everyone has dealt with conflict at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Even outside of work. Think about it. Maybe a disagreement with a family member or a stressful group project in school. Anything that shows you know how to handle tough conversations gracefully.
And remember, it's not about pointing fingers or blaming the other person. It's about showing how you dealt with it. Did you really listen? Did you try to understand where they were coming from? Did you offer solutions? Those are the skills that matter here.
Those are good ones. RoleCatcher's sample answer uses an example from retail. They talk about de-escalating a situation with a customer who was really upset. You see how they're linking that experience to the hospital setting? You can do the same thing with your story, even if it doesn't seem related at first.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're having trouble coming up with something, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you brainstorm. Just type in a few keywords like conflict or resolution or communication. It'll give you some ideas for relevant situations and how to talk about them in your interview.
That's amazing. Okay, so question 6 is all about a really crucial topic. How do you ensure patient confidentiality and privacy in your role as a hospital porter? This goes beyond just not gossiping. You need to show them you understand professional boundaries and ethical behavior.
Hospitals take this stuff really seriously. They want to see that you do too. So think about concrete actions. Speaking quietly when you're talking about patients, double-checking labels, making sure medical records are secure. Those little details matter.
And even if you haven't worked in healthcare before, you can use examples from other jobs. Did you deal with sensitive customer data? Were you trained on how to protect information? All of that shows that you're aware of privacy concerns.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's sample answer mentions training on data protection rules, which is smart. It shows you're not just following rules because you have to, but you understand why those rules exist in the first place.
Okay, question 7 is about teamwork. Can you tell us about a time when you had to work as part of a team to achieve a common goal? This is a classic interview question. How do we make it specific to the hospital porter role?
Good question. Think about what makes teamwork different in a hospital. Everything moves fast, the stakes are high, you need to communicate clearly with a bunch of different departments. Maybe you worked on a successful group project in school, or volunteered at a busy event, or even helped organize a big family gathering. It's not so much about the setting, but more about the skills you show.
Right, I gotcha. RoleCatcher uses an example of a volunteer project where they had to work together. They talk about things like communication compromise and working towards a shared goal. See how those qualities fit perfectly into a hospital.
Totally. And this is where doing your research comes in handy. If you know the hospital really values teamwork and collaboration, you can tailor your answer to those specific things.
Good strategy. All right, last question in this set. This one is, how do you handle a situation where a patient or family member is unhappy with your service? Now, nobody likes dealing with complaints, but they happen in every job, especially when you're working with people who are stressed out.
For sure. Here, the key is showing them you can stay professional, be empathetic, and solve problems. They want to know that you can stay cool, listen to concerns, and try to fix things even if you don't have all the control.
RoleCatcher's sample answer gives a good structure for your answer. Acknowledge their feelings, apologize for any inconvenience, really listen, and try to offer solutions if you can. How can we make this answer even better?
Well, you could think about some of the specific problems a hospital porter might face, like a delay in transport, a mix-up with equipment, or maybe a request you just can't do.
Okay,
If you think through those situations ahead of time, you'll feel more confident in your answer.
that makes sense. And this is another spot where RoleCatcher's AI can really help you out. You can practice different scenarios with the AI and get feedback on your tone, your words, even your body language if you're doing a video interview. It's like a practice run before the real thing.
Exactly. And remember, even if you can't solve the problem right away, you can still make a good impression by being understanding and genuinely wanting to help. Sometimes just letting someone know you hear their frustration can make a big difference.
Great point. So we just tackled all 8 of RoleCatcher's sample interview questions. Hopefully you're feeling a lot more prepared now. But before we wrap up, let's zoom out a little and think about the bigger picture here. The career path of a hospital porter. What does that look like?
I love that you brought that up. We've been focusing on getting that first job, but where can this role take you in the long run? RoleCatcher's career guide is awesome because it actually lays out different stages of this career. Most people don't even realize there is a career path.
That's so true. So while we're thinking about interview prep, let's also consider the growth potential here. What does it look like to move up in this field? How can those basic tasks you're interviewing for turn into something more? What are the next steps?
Let's find out. We'll talk about that in our next segment. We're going to dive into those career stages and show you how starting as a hospital porter can turn into an amazing career in healthcare.
Welcome back, everyone. We've covered those tough interview questions, but now let's talk about the future. Where can this hospital porter role actually take you? It's more than just a job. It's a stepping stone to bigger things.
I totally agree. And RoleCatcher's career guide is so cool because it doesn't just stop at the interview. It maps out your whole career journey.
It does. So let's break down these career stages that they talk about. First up, we've got the entry level. This is where you're starting out.
Yeah.
Learning the basics of patient transport, how to handle equipment, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and even at this early stage, RoleCatcher really emphasizes those soft skills. Like their sample profile mentions being dedicated, compassionate, a clear communicator. All those things are super important for building a solid foundation.
That makes a lot of sense because you're the face of the hospital for so many patients. Even those short interactions can make a difference.
Absolutely. And as you get more experience, you move up to junior porter. Now you're handling more things on your own, coordinating with nurses, maybe even training new people.
RoleCatcher's profile for this stage talks about being detail-oriented, making sure patient transfers go smoothly, keeping accurate records. It's definitely a step up in responsibility.
It is. And think about how those skills build on what you learned at the entry level. You're not just following orders anymore. You're becoming a key part of the team, someone people can rely on.
Exactly. Okay, now things get really interesting when you reach the senior porter role. This is where you start to show some leadership. You might be leading a team, managing inventory, even coming up with ideas to make things run more smoothly.
RoleCatcher talks about being results-driven, streamlining processes, building strong relationships. It's almost like a mini management track within the hospital porter world.
It is. It's amazing how those basic tasks from the entry level can turn into a leadership role.
Right. And even if you don't want to be a manager, those leadership skills are useful in any job. Problem-solving, teamwork, communication, those are valuable no matter what you do.
So true. For those who DO want to climb the ladder, RoleCatcher goes even further. They outline lead porter and manager positions. This is where things get serious.
Definitely. Lead porter is all about overseeing daily operations, keeping things running smoothly, developing procedures. You're the go-to person for everyone on your team.
And their sample profile mentions being dynamic, building positive relationships, always looking for ways to improve things. It sounds challenging, but also really rewarding.
It does. And then you've got the ultimate goal. Hospital porter manager, you're in charge of the whole department, budgets, making sure everyone follows the rules, strategic planning, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that's a long way from pushing a stretcher.
It is. RoleCatcher describes this person as a visionary leader, someone who can look at data, make tough choices, and inspire their team. It just goes to show you that even a job that seems entry-level can lead to a really amazing career.
So as you're getting ready for that interview, think about your long-term goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Do you want to move up in this field? Maybe try something else in healthcare. The possibilities are endless.
That's the exciting part. The skills you learn as a hospital porter are in high demand all over healthcare. With experience and some extra training, you could become a medical assistant, a patient care technician, even a nursing assistant.
You can really build on that foundation and take it anywhere you want to go.
And RoleCatcher is there to help you every step of the way, from interview prep to career guidance. Plus, they've got those AI-powered tools that can help you tailor your skills to different roles.
It's like having a secret weapon for your job search. We've covered so much today, from those specific interview questions to the bigger picture of building a career in healthcare.
We have. But before we wrap up, we always like to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Always a good idea.
We've talked about tasks and skills, but what about the human element? As a hospital porter, you're often the first and last person a patient sees during their hospital stay. How can you make that experience a good one for them, even when things are stressful? It's something to think about.
That's a really powerful thought. Remember, you're not just moving patients. You're a part of their healing journey. We wish you the best of luck in your interview, and we encourage you to check out everything RoleCatcher has to offer. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.